Real Nerds is a proud partner of the Denver Podcast Network. In the shadow of the mountains,
we speak.
Do you remember where you were when we elected a Sasquatch president?
How about when you learned Ben Franklin was a robot?
Or first heard Stalin's mixtape?
I'm Zach Powers.
I'm Brian Flynn, and we host The Revisionists.
Each episode, one person explains real history and another tells an alternate version.
And the winner becomes the truth. We let comics from Denver and around the country run wild through history.
It's an in-depth look at history, but with more Babadooks.
Check out The Revisionists, available every other Saturday.
Wherever you get podcasts and at revisionistpodcast.com.
Oh, hi, podcast listeners. There's many ways you can listen to the Real Nerds podcast. You can subscribe on iTunes. You can also subscribe on Stitcher Radio. You want to send us a Twitter message? You can do that. It's so easy, at Real Nerds. Like us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. You can visit our website, realnerdspodcast.com, where there'll be a lot of articles for you to not only read, but to listen to our previous shows. You can also call us, 720-6NERDS5. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show.
This is TJ Carter from the Average Joe Geek Show. You're listening to the Real Nerds Podcast.
Welcome to Real Nerds Podcast, unofficially the official podcast of Denver Pop Culture Con 2019 and beyond. This is your host for this evening, Brad, and with me is
Zach.
This week we saw Creed 2, the sequel to Creed. Find out what we thought of it at the end of the show. And before that, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, happy Black Friday, happy Super Sale Saturday and Sunday, and soon Cyber Monday.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have Ryan and James. I forgot their names already because they're slowly fading away from the show. Yeah.
We'll have to go on a rescue mission to save them. Do they need saving, though?
No, they've always been better without us.
Oh, okay.
So
we're on our own now?
We're flying solo.
On a desert island, man.
We're alone on this movie. What's our desert island movie?
Our desert island movie? I don't know about yours. Mine probably be Casablanca, just because it's super rewatchable.
And where are you hiding it?
Not up my ass. I know that'd be the funny response.
I just need to figure it out so I can throw it in the ocean, and then we only watch Ninja
Turtles.
Then I'm not gonna
then I'm not gonna fucking tell you.
I'll find it.
I would bring Jackie Brown, but that's kind of like a more like I like to be comfortable while watching it. Whereas Casablanca would give me hope that we'd find a way off the island.
Yeah, I think it'd be really hot all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if Casablanca's a movie you feel like you can sweat in, or like deal with a sunburn, maybe I'll bring Castaway. Just a little meta.
That'd get a little too meta. Well, you said meta, yeah, but I don't know.
Just give us hope that after 4 years, we could collect enough garbage to get out of there.
My fear, though, is that at some point while watching Castaway for the 20th time, you'll turn to me, conk me on the head, take my head off, hollow it out, and then make it look like a volleyball and call me Wilson from there on out.
No, I won't be doing that because within 3 days I will have murdered and then eaten your corpse for food.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm not quite as fat anymore, so maybe this is the best time to do it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So what do we do on the show, Zach?
We also talk about what we've been watching, movie news, Blu-ray releases. We go around town with you, but every week now for the past couple episodes, we've been getting segments from Corinne called "Catching Up with the Classics" with Corinne.
Oh, there's no intro for her. It's just we just start playing the clip. So here's Corinne's latest watch.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey nerds, Corinne here for part 7 of Catching the Classics. Just wanted to wish you all a very belated Thanksgiving. I hope you had a good time on the holidays with your loved ones. Yeah, I am out driving around in Kansas right now. I went home for the holidays myself, and I'll be here all next week spending vacation time with my family. but I did want to check in with you guys for Catching the Classics. I didn't watch a movie this week. Instead, I watched the second most popular miniseries of all time. Drum roll, please. Da-da-da-da. The Thornbirds. So I know James has mentioned the Thornbirds on the show before when I was on one time, but I'm not entirely sure how many of you other nerds have seen it before, so I don't want to spoil too much of it for you in case you ever do feel so inclined to watch it. And I didn't really know a lot going into it. I did see a clip of it on the internet one time, and it did spoil some of the things for me, but not everything, and there was a lot. I mean, this thing is so long. It's a 4-part miniseries. I want to say it's like 6 or 7 hours. But the nice thing is that with it being a miniseries, you don't have to sit down and watch it all in one sitting, which if you watch something like The Green Mile or Scarface or The Lord of the Rings, like those are movies. You're supposed to sit down and watch them all in one sitting. And with the miniseries, it's like you can watch one episode, you can come back later, you can watch the episodes once a day or once every week or something. And so it's really nice to have that freedom and not have to sit down and watch The Green Mile over 3 hours. So, yeah, so if you've never seen The Thornbirds, a quick idea of what it's about. So it's set in Australia in the 1920s, 30s, at the start of the miniseries. It spans like 40 or 50 years, I think. And this family, this rich lady befriends her priest, and her brother's family comes to live with her on her very large sheep ranch, and when she dies, she's going to give it to them, presumably, but then there's this whole drama llama for your mama that goes down, and yeah, I don't want to say too much more than that. There is a love story involving the priest, and it's really weird to talk about that, but it happens. And I mean, that's not the part of it that bothers me so much, because there's plenty of things, and in real life and in fiction, where priests are breaking their vows of celibacy or what have you, and having illicit affairs. That's not the part of it that bugs me. The part of it that bugs me is that he falls in love with a girl that he basically helped raise. Like, it's so weird and creepy. Ugh. So the thing that really gets this is the performances. Like, this miniseries has some wonderful performances in it. The guy who plays Father Ralph, I don't remember his name. I think it's Richard something. It's not Richard Attenborough, but some guy. But he's really, really good and very, very handsome. Like, I can see why this is the second most popular miniseries of all time. Whew. And the gal who plays Maggie, she also does a tremendous job. She has to carry a lot of, like, really weird and heavy scenes, and she does a pretty good job of it, too. I think the lady who gets it for me is the one who plays Mary Carson, the rich old lady. She doesn't have too many scenes because, spoilers, she kind of dies pretty early on in the mini-series, but she has to say a lot of weird things and do a lot of weird stuff because she is a wackadoodle old lady. But man, she is like menacing in some of her scenes, and she has this like really weird vibe in her performance, and so she just does a great job. Which, I mean, she's supposed to come off as like really weird and kooky, and so yeah, great cast. It does feel a little long in some places, but I mean, it keeps it moving pretty quick in others. So yeah, I would recommend it to people. If you've never seen The Thornbirds, check it out. The Thornbirds, 4 out of 5 stars. So since I'm on vacation this week, I'm not entirely sure if I'll get a chance to watch a movie. If I do, I'll let you guys know. But if not, I will watch one when I get back to Denver. So I hope you guys have fun watching whatever movie you went to see this week. And I will talk to you all again soon. Bye.
So I guess it's not so much catching up with the classics as whatever Corinne wants to watch this week now.
It is a classic, though. It took me a minute to remember what it is, but it's David L. Whopper, the guy who produced the first Willy Wonka movie, is the spearhead behind it, and it has Christopher Plummer and Barbara Stanwyck. So I'd be interested to check it out. I've never seen it before.
I've only heard about it. Yeah. I think she's right. James talked about it years ago on an episode.
Well, sweet. Well, that's cool, Corinne.
The whole priest falling in love with the girl he raised is the standout. Like what?
Oh, yeah.
Thing.
Well,
yeah.
You know.
I think Kevin Smith talked about it too on one of his podcasts because I think he said his mom was really into it.
Is there anything he hasn't talked about yet?
Amazingly, he's still doing new things.
I don't want him to ever stop, because if he does, then for some reason the ninth gate of hell will open and then we'll all fall in.
Yeah,
so.
He's all that's standing between us and the apocalypse.
You hear that, Kevin? You're protecting us from the demons.
So stay productive.
So don't listen to the Catholic Church. You're actually doing us a service.
So yeah, thanks, Corinne. We'll keep it up. Maybe next week she'll actually send something in.
We should throw a suggestion her way of what classic to watch next.
Yeah, we could do that. Although I don't know what she hadn't seen, so
I don't know.
Only she does.
If you haven't seen, I'll throw in one of my favorite films, To Be or Not to Be, by Ernst Lubitsch. Check that one out. It's somewhere on a Criterion channel of some kind.
You picked that one because it's sitting out on your desk?
I picked it because we might be talking about it here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, cool, Corinne. Thank you for calling in again. And then, yeah, I guess the only thing left to do is go around town with Brad and his not scooter, because his scooter got ruined at some point. Now he's got a motorcycle. I'm not as good as Ryan. Fuck my life.
Hey, film buddies, follow me around Denver.
I'm going to stop putting the intro in because you guys apparently are just going to keep going with this until the end of time.
I'm just like, I'm trying to keep this tradition alive, but I think if it needs to die, it needs to die. I do like yours, though, because it makes me picture an animated Brad going, follow me around Denver.
I should change that up, too. Everything's old and should be replaced. So this week at the Esquire midnight screening is Demolition Man, December 1st and November 30th. I don't know why I did this backwards, but yeah. So definitely going to that one.
Can we bring some Taco Bell into the screening, sneak it in?
I don't know. Maybe we should try that.
Ooh. And then leave the wrappers on the ground. And
I know that management will be angry, but I think they'll understand. Like it's movie tie-in.
They'll have to be like, son of a... Well, they got a point.
We should get a 24-pack of the taco pack and just hand it out to everyone in line.
That will really piss them off.
Yeah. A bunch of shredded cheese on their floors.
Damn it, egg!
And the other thing, it's the most important thing this week, is Open Screen Night is on Tuesday, November 27th.
Fare thee well, Open Screen
The final Open Screen Night.
Gone too soon, but never.
We're going to play them all. Play it hard.
We're going to play it, Sam?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
One last
Your
time.
name's not Sam, though. It's Brad.
It's not. Yeah, $5 gets you in, whether you're submitting or just coming to watch. Please just come to watch if you're not submitting anything. It's a good time. Watch the funeral that we have planned for this event.
If it turns out that this is the most highly attended OSN of all time, I will literally shit my pants with delight. That's
always been the trick, though, is we'll always have that one good, well-attended show of the year.
Yeah.
And we'll think yeah, we're finally getting it. This will keep going forever. And then the rest of the year is just declining.
If someone comes up to you after the show and goes, you guys should just go ahead and keep it going. Everybody seems to like coming. No. You're not tricking me again. I know who you are. You're actually Satan. Try to pull off their mask. And then they get angry at you. It's not a well thought out plan, Brad. I'm just saying.
Is that a Scooby-Doo thing?
Yes.
Okay. Let's keep this show going.
Yeah.
What's next?
Why don't we spin some real news?
It's real news.
This just came to my attention. I guess TJ Miller confirmed that he won't be in Deadpool 3. I kind of assumed that, but I guess he had to confirm it via social media. All he said was, I'm not in it, goodbye. Didn't even put a D in the goodbye, so I don't know what that means. I don't understand texting things, guys. I really don't. But yeah, and they already said he wasn't going to be part of the X-Force thing. So, and actually, this article did bring up a good point, which is like, which is on Comic Book Movie News or something. The Once Upon a Deadpool thing that's coming out in December. There's no knowing if he's cut out of it at all at any point. So. I haven't seen Deadpool 2 since it opened, so I don't remember how integral he would be other than...
I think he's in a lot of the gags, actually, so...
Right, but...
I don't think... I think at least half his gags he didn't swear in, so he should be okay.
Right, so... But anyway, yeah, I don't know really how to feel about that. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, we had 2 deaths this week. First was Nicholas Roeg, which I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but he was the director of the Man Who Fell to Earth, and he was also a camera operator on some earlier films, and was actually the cinematographer on the second unit of Lawrence of Arabia. He died at 90. And also Don't Look Now is one of the things he directed. I'm not like the most up to snuff on him, but I have seen The Man Who Fell to Earth. It's a interesting film, and one that Bowie actually redid as a play with Michael C. Hall before he passed away. But yeah, there's a lot of outpouring of love for his films, especially Cary Elwes actually did a tribute to him on Facebook. So 90, he will be missed. The more prominent death, though, honestly, is a frequent talking point of this show for some reason, is Ricky Jay, famed magician, passed away.
We've talked about him on the show before?
Yeah, we have. I thought you'd say this. We've talked to a lot about him on Filmsplosion episodes. Specifically, whenever James picks a movie, somehow Ricky Jay's in it. I believe we've talked about him for the Bond movie he was in, and also one of the David Mamet movies he was in. But he was also in Boogie Nights, The Prestige, Mystery Men. He died at 72. He's one of those guys where like I recognize him and stuff. And he kind of comes in and out, but I don't really know much about his magic, but a lot of the affection that I was seeing for him on Instagram and Facebook was talking about how much they loved his magic. So clearly he had an impact on that community of fans.
Do you think the flags of the Magic Castle are half staff right now?
Oh, I hope so. God. Oh, my God. My cousin's been into it. I don't know if you know anybody who's been into it.
Lucky.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, it's supposed to be exclusive. I don't get it.
Yeah, other magicians have to invite you.
Yeah.
I don't know any magicians.
I don't
now
either.
There's one more dead one.
I don't know one, and I don't think they're clamoring to talk to me, so...
Yeah. Because they know I just expose their tricks.
Oh, my God. Well, if you were into Will Arnett, ask him if he'll invite you somehow. I'm sure he's been invited in somehow as a special guest.
Did he do a magic thing?
Will Arnett from Arrested Development as Job?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you watch the series one time.
Yeah, I know. It's a great series. I haven't watched the new season, though, so that will tell you how interested I am at this point on it. We got some Aquaman news. First off, the ticket sales for it, like early ticket sales, are actually surpassing Venom, so I don't know how I was going to feel about that film succeeding or failing or whatnot. I just kind of was like, oh, it's coming out. Cool. We'll see how it happens. But I've said before, and I'll say it again, I like James Wan, so I'm down to see this movie. The other piece of news in it, and you will probably know more about this than I do. Julie Andrews is in the movie voicing a character named Karathan. I don't know anything about Aquaman lore. I don't know if you do, but you're the DC guy, so...
So Julie Andrews is an Aquaman and not Mary Poppins reboot.
Yes, and they are opening very close to each other, if not on the same weekend.
I think it's the same weekend. That's interesting.
So Julie Andrews is what? Getting revenge? Because this seems like dumb revenge.
It's going to be weird. Like, that's her excuse is, I couldn't do the Mary Poppins because of my schedule because I was committed to Aquaman. And yet they're appearing on the same day. Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting coincidence. But this year is fraught with coincidences.
Yeah. But yeah, no, she's Karathan, who's like the most powerful being on Earth. I don't know her story in the Aquaman lore and whatnot.
Me either.
I know Aquaman talks to fish and says, yeah, or my man. I want to go up to everybody at the Aquaman screening that I go to and go, my man, my man, my man, until they throw me out of the theater. Woohoo! Yeah. Dressed like a bat. I dig it.
I dig it. I dig it.
Would you like more popcorn? I dig it.
Every 5 minutes in the film, you're just like, turn to the person next to you. I dig it.
My man.
Redheads, gotta love them.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, what? What's that have to do with anything?
That's all me, bro. Yeah, woo! But so, yeah, no. I mean, Julie Andrews has actually said, honestly, that she wasn't interested in being in Mary Poppins 2, I guess, because this is Emily's movie, so a cameo would be distracting. Early buzz on that film, though, is that it's amazing and that it has Oscar potential, which I know the Oscars don't necessarily matter, but pretty interesting to think that it could be in the same place as the first one was. To segue that into Disney news, we got a trailer for the Lion King remake by Jon Favreau. I mean, what did you think?
It's a teaser.
Yeah,
so
well, it's a teaser, yeah.
let
Obviously.
you know it's there, and it accomplished that.
Yeah.
It's very literal,
Mm-hmm.
except for one shot with the paw print.
Yeah.
Isn't in the original Lion King trailer, but it's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can judge it on, really.
I will be honest. It's the most underwhelming trailer for a remake of theirs I've seen, in my opinion.
No, I thought the Aladdin one was kind of like, oh, here's a bunch of sand.
Yeah, actually,
Congratulations.
I'll take that back. They're kind of on par and the same for me. The thing the Lion King has in its favor is that I like the Lion King a lot more than I like Aladdin. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, like, I've seen a couple different reactions of going like, well, what's the difference? And they're like, oh, it's a different form of animation, which I totally agree. This is like, it's just a different form of animation, which is an interesting concept. But I mean, we all know why it's there, for a financial reason. So, and that voice cast sounds awesome though too. So I'll definitely be checking it out. I mean, like, I'll say this though: the Dumbo trailer has me more excited than anything else in terms of the Disney remake canon.
Yeah, well, I think it's the first one out, right?
Yeah, that's why we're getting more
Yeah.
footage of it, whatnot. Because I'd like to see how they get around certain things from the original Dumbo.
Also, Dumbo's more interesting because the story in the original cartoon is so shallow.
Well,
and
yeah, because it's
simple.
based on a very small picture book. So.
Yeah, it's going to be like what we're going to be looking for is like what they added to
Right.
pad it out some more. Whereas the Lion King and Aladdin had pretty fleshed out.
I'm not a fan of the screenwriter they got for Dumbo. I mean, sorry if anybody is. I just don't really like him. But
Who?
His name's Aaron Kruger. He did the Transformers sequels and the third Scream, and I think he did an unofficial rewrite on the fourth Scream. I'm not a big fan of his, but he clearly knows how to make movies for a mass audience, so give it up to him. I apparently can't do that. But I will be curious to see how I feel about the film going forward when I've actually seen it. I'm more curious to know what Michael Keaton's role is in all this.
I think he's a P.T. Barnum.
Yeah, I like that I'm figuring he's the villain, and so if that's the case, I like seeing him be flashy. So
Yeah, I bet he's a villain you'll like to hate. Where initially you'll be drawn in by his charisma,
and then boo hiss,
and then
hiss boo.
as you go along, you'll kind of like the Vulture. Like,
Yeah,
I think he'll probably have that turn.
yeah, the boo hiss hiss. And then the last thing is so there was a poll done by the Hollywood Reporter, and they asked, like, well, what franchise do you want to see rebooted? And Back to the Future was at the top of the list. So yeah, it's just more interesting in the sense like that's the one people are clamoring for in terms of this poll. I know it's not the whole spectrum, but
Yeah.
I mean,
First of all, please don't. Second, if you're going to do it, just don't reboot it. Make it a sequel, like Back to the Future 4. Just you don't have to have Dr. Marty in it if that's your problem. It's like you don't want to revisit those characters, but have it, just what 35 years probably by the time it'll come out
yeah,
into the future from where it left off.
I guess you could do that.
Introduce new characters.
I will say I'm not opposed to a reboot on it on the condition that they don't repeat any of those stories, but all they have to do is reboot the concept of kid and his professor friend have time machine, do things. Done. That's all you need.
Which I guess they did with Rick and Morty, so you've kind of already got your reboot.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, just thought that was an interesting way to close out this discussion. So that was news.
So I guess we should look at what's coming out on DVD and Blu-ray and 4K.
I think we should.
DVD releases and Blu-rays.
Zach, what are the last DVDs coming out?
Ever. Well, the Critters collection is coming to Blu-ray from Scream Factory.
I always wanted to see that because that's the movie that Raphael watches in the Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, really? Yeah.
He's like, where do they come up with this stuff? This movie about Ninja Turtles. Talking about stuff.
Have you watched any of the Critters movies?
I haven't.
Oh, well then there you go. Now you've got all of them in a box set ready to go, including the one with Leo DiCaprio.
I would probably want to stream it first, make sure it's worth owning. I mean, Shout Factory's doing it so great.
Yeah, but
it's worth it, but I don't have funds for everything in the world.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Oh,
I just bought 2 4K monitors and a HD or 4K Blu-ray player, so I'm good for right now.
Well, then I'll give you back the credit card I stole from you. Shh.
Turn down your mic.
On the Criterion front, we're getting The Magnificent Ambersons, Orson Welles' second film and last film with RKO. It'll be interesting to see what they do with this, so I'm excited for that. And also from Criterion is True Stories, a David Byrne film, which I have never seen, so you can check that out. The only really big new releases are Searching, the John Cho film about the internet.
Which I liked, so check that out.
I've heard it's great. I do want to see it. It had a weird, like, inauspicious release. Like, I didn't know it came, and then when it came, I'm like, well, there's other stuff I've got to go to. Excuse me. But the other release is the HBO limited series Sharp Objects, which has been getting great response, particularly for Amy Adams' performance. So check that out if you would like to. Blue Underground's putting out Lucio Fulci's Zombie, which is awesome. I would recommend you check that out.
Is that zombie with an I?
No, Zombie with an E, but it's Zombie with an I. But yeah, no, and it looks like they got variant covers too. One is of them walking on a bridge. One is them of a woman who's going to get stabbed with a piece of stick or wood, and the third one is what's supposed to be an artist rendition of the original poster, which is just that grotesque-looking zombie. You've seen it if you've looked through like different like horror books and stuff like that. Also on the Scream Factory front is a double feature called Munchies and Munchie. They both look like rodent movies, and one of them has a rodent surfing on a pizza, and apparently the rodent is played by Dom DeLuise. So go ahead and check that out if you want. Sunset Productions is putting out Deep Throat on, looks like Blu-ray. If you've never seen the highest grossing porno film ever made, I guess. Henry reviewed Deep Throat for us. Why not? Go big. And then let's see. A lot of back catalog releases. Topper and Topper Takes a Trip are getting releases from Kino Lorber. And that's apparently it. I don't see anything else. Oh, Philadelphia on 4K. If you want to cry in 4K, go get Philadelphia. A great Jonathan Demme movie. Oh, and then, I'm sorry, one more from Warner Archive, Brewster McCloud. So, yeah.
Great finale.
Yeah, no, I know.
Never heard of it.
It's a 70s film. It's good. So,
all right. So let's talk about what we've been watching.
So, this is the stuff we've been watching.
Zach, what have you been watching? I swear to God, you better make this quick.
Okay. Not a whole lot. I watched the documentary Floyd Norman, An Animated Life, which is about Disney animator Floyd Norman, who worked. He started at Disney in the later years before
in the salt mines.
Everybody work. Everybody work. But he worked with Disney at Disney's behest, under Disney's tutelage just before he passed away. He was one of the main animators on Mowgli and the Jungle Book. And then he had an interesting life going forward. He's actually been fired and rehired by Disney several times. And at one point they forced him to retire, which was a big thing because other people around him who were the similar age were being kept around. And Disney apparently was not happy when he put out a book that talked about ageism and how Disney handles it, and they requested Disney requested that he remove that from his book. I won't spoil what happens because I think you should watch it if you're a fan of Disney animation and just filmmakers in general, or anybody who's got a creative passion. His story is very interesting, and watching him they actually go inside the Disney studios and see all the offices, and it's really neat. So I would go ahead and check that out if you get a chance. Also on the documentary front, I saw Wait for Your Laugh, the Rose Marie documentary. It's beautiful. It's a fucking beautiful tribute to Rose Marie. It's tragic in a sense that she got to see it, was screened for people, and then do Q&As right before she died, but the main release comes later. But the whole impetus of the film is about how Rose Marie wants to keep working, but by the time you get to the current day period, no one's wanting to hire her. And she's been working since such a young age that it's embedded in her to work. The story about her husband is tragic and heartbreaking. I did not know about it. The things I knew about her are actually within the first 20, 30 minutes of the documentary, where she's this big radio star. She works under the mob. I knew she had worked for the Flamingo in the first weeks with Bugsy Siegel, but I also knew that she was she was protected by the mob for a big majority of her career because Capone liked seeing her on stage, and her father was a low-level hitman, or just one of those guys who'd rough you up essentially. But he was also controlling over her life and career. The stuff about the Dick Van Dyke Show is actually pretty interesting because it's interesting to hear her perspective on what she felt in regards to Mary Tyler Moore. And I'm sure if Ryan were watching it, he'd not take Rose Marie's side. But I don't know. Maybe Ryan will surprise me on that. But also hearing about how she and Maury Amsterdam were contributing as writers unofficially or even officially to that show is amazing. And listening to Dick Van Dyke talk, I kind of want a documentary on Dick Van Dyke alone. That'd be great. But yeah, Wait for Your Laugh. It's on Prime. I would check it out. It's pretty fucking great. So I was supposed to see The Ballad of Buster Scruggs at the Chez Artistes Theater, but I'm going to tell y'all what happened. I got to the theater with my dad because, again, it's a Netflix release. They want you to watch it on their platform. I want to see it in the theater. Ted Sarantos will get my hit play when I've seen it on a big screen. So we go in the theater, we get our ticket, we sit down, and then all of a sudden, you hear kind of a click and power goes out all across the lobby, in all the theaters and around the entire complex. And if you've never been to the Chez Artistes, it's like a hole-in-the-wall mall kind of district thing.
It's a strip mall movie theater.
Yeah, it's pretty much. So the whole power goes out. The managers are searching around for stuff, and I didn't know how to react at first because I actually started looking around and seeing it. My first thought is well, when are they going to get it back up? But then my anxiety kicked in because I don't like being in theaters where things are not going right. So I actually told my dad, I was I'm going outside to take a hit off my vape or have a cigarette or something. And he's like, okay. And then we, because that made me nervous, and I'm trying to quit smoking, so it's making me nervous. So finally he just came out and said they gave us passes. We're going home. And it's good that we did because the snow was hitting so damn hard and the winds were going at 40 to 50 miles an hour that it would have been a bitch to get home anyway. And it sucks because my dad and I love Coen Brothers movies. He loves Oh Brother Art Thou. It's his favorite film of all time. And he's taken me to the Coen Brothers movies in the theaters since The Lady Killers. I think we've only missed 2 of them. And so this was kind of disappointing, but I think we're going to try to go again tomorrow with those passes. But the whole time on the ride home, though, and I texted you this, but I was thinking, we were going to see a Netflix movie in the theater, and then somehow it gave us the option to go see it at home instead by forcing our hand. I wouldn't be surprised if Ted Sarantos, what's his name, Ted Sarantos?
We texted Chris Sarantos.
I think I did, but I found out it was Ted Sarantos later on. So I've been saying Chris Sarantos on the show for a while, so bear with me. But anyway, Ted Sarantos, guy who runs Netflix,
is always watching you with a satellite.
Not only that, and doesn't want you to see a movie in a theater. He wants you to see a movie in your house, like a couch potato asshole. We're not asshole, whatever. But Ted Sarandos, head of Netflix, doesn't want you to see a movie in a theater. I think he has a Geostorm machine. I think he has whatever is in that Gerard Butler movie I haven't seen yet.
You went such a long way for that joke.
I know, but like again, I think he's controlling the weather. I think he saw my posts on Instagram. I shouldn't have posted to Instagram. That was my problem.
He doesn't care about the 5 o'clock screening of people, or the 3 o'clock screening of people, or the 1 o'clock screening of people.
Or the 7 o'clock.
He cares about Zach at 9:25.
He says like, "Oh, I know you're going to be an asshole about this, and I'm going to make you see it on your laptop." I'm like, it was frustrating. So, yeah.
And he's waiting for you to go back so he can shut down the machine again. Because you still have like 30 more chances to see it.
I've gone mad with power. He won't see any of the movies. He won't get to see Roma.
I spent $5 million on a weather machine just to fuck with Zach Eastman and the Coen brothers.
Oh, God. Well,
cool.
Maybe the Coen brothers and I will team up and stop him. But the last thing I did see was, Brad and I went to Black Thursday, Friday, Doorbuster Thursday, and I finally got a 4K TV. I had worked hard at saving on it for a whole year. So I got it and a 4K player. I did not go for a 4K disc right away, though. I went ahead and put in my criterion of to be or not to be, which had a 2K scan. I just basically wanted to test different discs out and see what they looked like on the new player and the new TV. And I've never seen To Be or Not to Be look that great. If you don't know the movie,
it's not a 2K projection, though, right?
No, I know, but but it's still doing something that the TV that I had before is not doing. But did you think that I would see the true projection?
No, you're like, the story is I got this new 4K TV, and then I watched a regular ass Blu-ray on it.
Right, but Ryan and I have been talking about this, and he said on the show like it does improve the quality. So like
it's probably a little sharper.
Yeah. But
it still encoded it as an MP4. Or something.
Well, anyway, it looked better to me than it's ever looked before, especially on that smaller TV. But yeah, To Be or Not to Be is a.
Also, can you imagine how much closer you would have gotten to that TV if you hadn't bought cigarettes all year?
That's true. That's why I'm trying to quit.
Anyway, continue.
So
wait, stop again. Now continue.
But yeah, To Be or Not to Be is a film. It's Carol Lombard's last film, Jack Benny's, and I've talked about it before. Actually, surprisingly, I hadn't really thought about this in the past 2 years. I've rewatched it, but I haven't thought about it. That movie's more relevant now than it has any right to be because of the content of the film. It's basically about a theater troupe that stops Nazis who invade Poland and try to escape Poland. And it's eerily relevant throughout a big majority of it, more than you'd think. But it's a great film. It's Shakespeare motif kind of running through it, and then mixed with screwball comedy. It's obviously Jack Benny's best film he ever did in terms of being an actor. And I think Carol Lombard, had she not died, and there might be it might have gotten a better reception at the time. But watching the film, the issue is that it comes out in 1942. It's directly addressing the problem of Nazis, whereas only one other film had done that in history prior to that, which was Confessions of a Nazi Spy from 1939. So this film was going to be a problem no matter what, regardless if it's released right after Pearl Harbor has happened. It was always kind of set up to be clashing with the norms of society a little bit, and how do you present a problem like this in a comedic way? So it was always kind of it's watching it. I'm like, no, there's nothing you could have done to make this a bigger success at the time it came out. I think because ultimately it's all predicated on you laughing at something that's eerily relevant and eerily dangerous. So, but then I also thought, we have a movie like Black Klansman come out this year that's eerily relevant, but you saw the film. It's got moments of humor in it that are damn funny. But yeah, it looked great on that TV, and I could notice some production design that I hadn't seen before. I didn't notice some of the detail in the sets. It was a Corda production, so it was well financed. So, but you can see where they're doing a play in the theater, the stage and the design of it looks like it's impeccable. I'd never seen it look that good. So, But yeah, To Be or Not to Be. If you haven't ever seen it, check it out. And that's all I watched this week.
Cool, Brad. What did you watch?
Brad, what did you watch this week?
So part of my reward for being a Warner Brothers spy, not spy, inside reviewer.
Your confession of being a spy sounds suspiciously like being a spy.
Yes, I'm trying to throw you off using reverse psychology. So my reward for reviewing a bunch of stuff all year was a subscription for the new Warner or DC Universe channel app.
With the Teen Titans show?
Yeah.
Fuck Batman.
And really everything that DC has ever done with Warner Brothers, including obscure superhero movies from 1984 called Supergirl.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Which, again, I've been on this thing of lately, like, I'm going to watch something that, is like a cult classic to some people, and it's going to be amazing. And wow, I'm surprised How'd This Get Made chose Quest for Peace over Supergirl to do a How'd This Get Made on, because Supergirl is way more insane than...
If you want something to tide you over until they come to their senses, the We Hate Movies crew did it, and I was just like, yep, they're accurate, they're on point, they're getting this exactly right. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't want to spend the whole episode talking about it, but...
Well, we'll do a separate podcast called Let's Talk About Supergirl.
Yeah, Supergirl is given an orb, a magic orb, by Peter O'Toole. It flies off the planet. She chases after it.
Peter O'Toole, by the way, creepy as fuck in this movie.
And her space travel, she emerges from the ocean of the Earth rather than flies through the cosmos. So there's a portal in the Earth's crust or crater or core. And so she emerges from that and then is immediately assaulted by two truck drivers.
Yep.
Which she thankfully dispatches very quickly. And then she goes to college, an all-girls school, because I'm not sure why she had to do that first to find the orb. And meanwhile, Faye Dunaway is Serena, basically a witch, originally just a billionaire who wants to take over the world. And then once the orb literally kind of falls into her lap and she guesses the incantation to unlock its power, she becomes a witch. And then from then on, it's her just screwing with people and making tractors sentient. And then Supergirl tracks her down, and then they just kind of have like a battle of powers.
This is when Canon had the rights to Superman stuff.
Yeah, the Salkind.
So...
and then also it's like 2 hours long. It might be the longest like Superman-ish movie.
Other than maybe the first Superman.
Yeah. And then also the guy she saves from the tractor immediately falls in love with her and is a total creep from then on out. His goal is immediately to have her marry him. Yeah, so that's Supergirl.
If you want to see something insane, you should watch it. I saw it when my sister and I she had that Superman set and whatnot. We found Supergirl at the library. We watched it, and I hated it, and I'm fairly sure she hated it. I never asked her, but I hadn't seen it since. And then I listened to that episode of We Hate Movies on it, and I was like, oh god, it's all flooding. It was like a flood coming back to you. Like, it was weird. So yeah, don't watch it unless you're like, you know what? I would have loved it 5 years ago when I was still smoking weed or drinking. So
Yeah. The other thing I watched is The Girl in the Spider's Web, which we toyed with making an episode of the week. But
how's Claire Foy?
I wasn't like invested in the Dragon Tattoo American.
Were you invested in the Swedish ones at all, or?
No, I didn't watch those either.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the American one didn't get me interested in those three. I can't
remember if they're actually Swedish. Norwegian?
Yeah, Norwegian.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so it's kind of more the same. A little less. If Fincher had some accents to it that like made you remember things, like more stunning visual style, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
This one is very much like if the person who just made Don't Breathe, a story entirely contained in one house, carried over a lot of that to multiple houses. A lot of the story takes place in her sanctuary, which is blown up, and then she moves on to different safe houses that she has stashed around Sweden.
Did he help write the script, or did you see?
I don't know.
Because then maybe that's why. But if it's not, then maybe that's just a coincidence of the story that they're telling. Because I know it's an expansion of those books, the Millennium Trilogy, because they're not written by the original author. So,
but basically, the story mounts to I can't remember her name.
Elizabeth Salander.
Yes, Salander. Salamander. She has a gecko pet in the movie, which I don't remember. I think it just disappeared from the story.
I don't remember if she had it in that first movie either, or in the Swedish version.
Yeah, and I actually think the hacker she gives it to makes that joke of like Salander, Salamander. Anyway, she grew up. Her dad was a creep, and she had a sister, and she was fed up with her dad molesting them. So she bailed, literally by jumping out the window. And her sister wouldn't go with her. She sided with her dad. And then years later, she is being framed for a bunch of stuff. And there's a defense contractor, American defense contractor, who has like the latest satellite technology. I think the GoldenEye program, basically, is who he's working on. And he wants her to expose it. Because he's like, I regret making this thing. Oppenheimer, I guess. I regret making this destructive thing. And then,
history jokes are fun.
And much like what I watched recently, he has a son who is super smart and knows all his codes. And once her dad is killed, or his dad is killed, Elizabeth has to protect him. God, what movie? I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember the movie I watched. It's like 3 times this year. It's been the hero has to rescue a child. Like Deadpool 2 is that. What's the other one? The kid's autistic. Oh my god!
Is it one we reviewed too?
Yeah, it's a.
Oh fuck!
I should just get on my letterbox and try to find it.
Oh god!
Anyway, so that's basically the story, and then the reporter for Millennium newspaper, whatever.
Is it Michael Blomkvist?
Yeah.
Mikael.
Yeah, all these people are played by new characters, so it's not Daniel Craig again. He wrote this blockbuster article, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah.
But then his paper gets bought out by some millennial mogul who screws around all day and just doesn't do the work, just enjoys the riches. So the paper's failing, and he's looking for his next big story. And he's still consumed with Elizabeth, so he's helping her out and hoping that this leads to another thing. But then he realizes that he needs to stop doing that because it only brings trouble. So yeah,
it's what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of like your typical tech thriller set in the snow.
It good enough to warrant a franchise.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
It's where it certainly didn't get your.
Well, I'm thinking about so there'd be one more, right? And they've already had to change out the cast entirely and the director. And
but this is the intention of this one is that they don't rely on the original 3 books, so they could theoretically go into however many they want to.
Oh, this isn't a story from...
No, it's not. So The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the one that Fincher did, was part 1 of a 3-part trilogy that the original author did. The original author died, and then another author carried it on and did other stories. This one's supposed to be by the other author. And there's been other books since. So you could go off into a franchise, theoretically.
Okay, so it wouldn't be like 50 Shades of Grey, where it's like there's 3 of them, and then you just give up.
For multiple reasons, but yes,
Yeah.
for that one specifically.
Well, Twilight's not a good one because there's 4 of them, but
But they somehow made it.
but it's like the
It's like, you know what it is? It's like the Robert Langdon
it's like Narnia, where
Well, Narnia, yeah.
they've gotten through 4, I think, and then they're just like, okay, we're just gonna start over.
Yeah.
So this one is just like based on the box office. Will they get to a third one? Or will it just be these 2? I don't know.
I don't know. It seems like Claire Foy's films in October and November have kind of faltered. I'm not saying that's her fault. She's actually great in First Man. And I've seen that disappear from theaters entirely. This one, I think it's playing like 2 different showtimes every time I check. So
it's fine. Like the actors are fine in it. The story's just kind of like,
I want to check it out.
Not that surprising.
Yeah, as I liked the Swedish films. I liked the American remake by Fincher, obviously, which basically is Fincher remaking a Fincher homage. So
yeah. I also got a chance to watch the second volume of the Best Friends 2-part movie by Greg Sestero.
Oh, hi, Brad.
Yeah. Probably like 80% less Tommy in part 2.
Really?
Because you'd have to see him to understand like the relationships of the characters.
Right.
Because no one's really like a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the first one, this character, John, I think it's John, which is interesting because Johnny's, Tommy Wiseau's character, but Greg Sestero's character, he befriends. You don't know what his backstory is, and you don't really find out in Volume 1.
But he was a hobo who was on the street, right?
Well, that's all you know.
Oh.
Like, you pick up with him as being homeless and, like, holding up signs, and his shirt's all bloody, and it's never really explained. So they go through the whole first movie just building this relationship with this mortician played by Tom Wiseau.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom Wiseau is pushed off a cliff at the end of the first volume.
Oh, bye movie.
Yeah. That reminds me. So then it picks up. Greg Sestero's character has, been convinced by his new girlfriend to betray Tom Wiseau, steal his money, which is the safe is an actual ATM machine that's like got this weird mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
So they decide like, okay, well we can't break into it, so just load it in the car and we'll take it to Colorado with us, and we'll find someone there who can open it. And then on the way, she knows this rancher, who the guy who plays him is a guy. So the screening I went to, Greg Sestero was there, and he explained this guy is an actor that he knew when he was modeling. You all right?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I'm hiccuping.
When he was modeling, back in the early 2000s, very like Clint Eastwood-esque kind of guy.
Is
like
it Scott?
Huh?
Is it Scott?
No. He was on this soap opera that Greg's mom watched, so that's how he knew him, and he ran into him modeling,
mm-hmm.
and that guy, eventually his career just kind of disappeared, and he went off and did his thing, and Greg tracked him down, and he's like, I wrote this character with you in mind, would you mind playing him? And he's like, he does it, and he's kind of like, it's acting, so I don't know if it's like really his personality or not, but it's kind of like the like a more aggressive Tommy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this guy kind of becomes like the villain of part 2, and it occasionally flashes back to Tommy Wiseau, who's in a like knight's helmet. And he's got Greg chained up, and it's very David Lynchian, or at least what I imagine David Lynch films to be. It's very surreal. Like,
you should watch one and then compare the two.
Yeah, is this really happening or not? Is this something that in Greg's head? Because
this is not reality.
Tommy was warning him about like friendship and like getting too close to people and stuff. So anyway, that's where this one goes. Is like Greg dealing with people trying to double cross him, trying to get in the safe, and then like this rancher guy, is he who he says he is? Like, is he actually helping, or is he trying to double cross him? And then resolving what happened with Tommy in the first movie. So it's a more traditional. Like the first one's very weird, and the second part is very
traditional.
It's a little surreal, but it's more of an sort of an action thriller. Yeah, like the first one's more mysterious,
right?
and definitely worth a watch. The both parts. He said, because Tommy is such a strong character and this rancher guy is such a strong character,
you couldn't have them
watching them together in one single setting. It felt off.
Yeah.
So that was the impulse to split them into two, and I agree. Like if you tried to watch those two stories and even try to trim some of their stuff down to make them both fit, it would just be a mess. So it's good that they're kind of separated. But yeah, that comes out on Blu-ray, I think, in January.
So my question then is that, so obviously Tommy Wiseau, The Room, Greg Sestero, The Room, stuff like that, the notorious worst movie ever made, right? Does Best Friends qualify in the worst category, or is it actually just pretty decent? Hey, this is worth a watch.
It's worth a watch. I mean, it's shot better,
right?
Certainly. The plot is more. It makes more sense, I guess. When characters make decisions, they make sense. It's not just arbitrary stuff like in The Room where, there's suddenly a drug subplot for Denny.
What kind of money?
Yeah, or even Lisa just kind of within the first 5 minutes seducing.
Why are you
Mark.
doing this?
Yeah. What have you done to me? And that brings
Shawnee's my best friend.
That brings me to the other thing I watched. Is I went to The Room.
So you did end up going?
I ended up going again. Mm-hmm. And I was encouraging Ryan to go, but after watching it this time, I'm almost against that because most of the times when I went to watch, the audience was on the same page and they all did the same jokes. Now it's devolved into a lot of dudes trying to get all the attention, the best joke in the room. Mm-hmm. So they're making up new shit that's not funny, and they're all competing with each other, and it's just, and the jokes usually are more degrading. There's a lot of body shaming jokes for Lisa, and
I can't say that there weren't at the ones that I went to, but they were
there were a couple, but it's really that's all the jokes now.
Yeah,
it's really out of hand.
If that's dominating the situation, then I'm sorry. I would not want to go to that sucks that that's happening at the Esquire.
Yeah, it's so much not everyone's just calling her a bitch constantly from the audience.
So then
for cheating and stuff.
So I'm wondering if this is people who saw The Disaster Artist and that's the only connection they have. I feel like when you find this film outside of The Disaster Artist, you tend to maybe, I don't know, feel a little bit more playful with it, but I'm unfortunately correlating the release of The Disaster Artist last year to the recent development I've been hearing of you telling me that the audiences are getting nasty.
I don't think it has anything to do with The Disaster Artist. I think it's just people who, need attention.
Right, and I'm not saying The Disaster Artist has that connection. It's just different people find different entry points into things, and so this is something I hadn't heard of until you were telling me this as early as the film Splosion at the beginning of this year. So, because you were talking about the time you went back.
Yeah, I think last time I was talking about how there's just people trying to that was mild compared to this.
Wow,
it's four mostly dudes, just yelling out this stupidest shit and the meanest shit too. It's poorly crafted, mean jokes. The body. I'm trying to think of the other ones. The body shaming ones are the ones that stand out because they're just yelling "bitch" to her constantly and making fun of her appearance. But yeah,
and they're all directed at
or just yelling "fuck you" to other characters. Especially when they get in fights and stuff.
Maybe what? No.
I know it's I liked it when it was just park that car.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Where are we?
Are they not doing those anymore? Or?
They are, but they're even mild. And actually, the surprising one was oh, high gun. I didn't. That's a Riff Tracks one, but I think people should be doing it.
Yeah.
If I wasn't in the far back, I would have yelled it myself. But.
Yeah, but no, yeah. I mean, I don't know, because the first time I went, I didn't say anything or try to contribute. I just sat there and took it in.
Yeah, me too.
And I think that's what
I still do.
Yeah, and then
other people have it covered.
Yeah, and then but then as I kept going, Brett Jones and I did the football thing at one point where we brought a football in and played with it before the screening started, and I don't remember if we ever did spoons really for it. I think we did it once.
Yeah, oh my God, there were so many spoons.
Yeah, I'm sure there were, but
which I like, but it was just I was surprised at how
I'll be
many
honest.
they actually had at the screening.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm hearing that. I'm kind of glad I didn't go because I don't want to have that experience sour. The last time I saw The Room was great because it was at the Alamo where we could still interact. But also Greg Sestero was there, so it's kind of the high note I want to leave on The Room right now.
Yeah.
But I still need to see Rocky Horror Picture Show, so hopefully that hasn't turned into a fucking misogynist nightmare.
Yeah.
But anyway, cool. The Room.
Yeah. And then the last thing I saw is there's 6 more episodes of Mystery Science Theater 3000 called The Gauntlet.
Yeah.
And it's great. They've sort of trimmed the fat from the return, so they don't take that Moon 13 the moon break between things, and
so they show the whole movie. So they show the whole movie instead of doing commercial breaks.
Yeah, I guess they play it. I mean, they usually break and go to the
right,
countertop. Still,
but there was always still commercial breaks, like the Moon 13 the moon thing.
Yeah, no, which I guess makes sense because their whole advertisement is binge watching. So why would they take a commercial break?
Right.
But yeah, there's still the breaks for the robots to play around, and overall, Mac and Me is probably my favorite of the 6, which is the first one. But yeah, the Atlantic Rim's pretty good too. And then all the little, all the little gags between watching the movie are fantastic too. And they're building another serialized, as each episode goes on, their battle between the Mads is leading up to something at the end. So it's not just episodic, So and it's just, I'm curious because of the way it ends at 6. I wonder if they've been holding back on the fact that there's another 6 episodes, but the Mads have to review them, which would be amazing, I think, if the tables are turned. So there would be a 12-episode season, but the last 6 were...
Thank you for not spoiling it entirely, but...
Yeah,
I had to put something out there. I'll forget, then wake up tomorrow morning going go Gauntlet! Well, that's cool. Yeah. No, I don't know why, but I couldn't find time to squeeze it in with.
I mostly watch it in the background, but
I can't do it with that. I have to.
You have to watch that little silhouette on screen all the time.
No, it's not that. It's it's with anything I do. Unless I've seen it before, a couple times, I can't do background viewing anymore. I used to be able to do it like crazy, and now I can't do it. When I do work or something like that, I'll put a Mel Brooks movie on in the background because I know I can get invested in it whenever I'm bored, but then I can also focus on stuff.
That reminds me, I did pop in The Godfather because I was I want to test the picture quality of this Blu-ray. And next thing I know, I've finished the movie.
So what do you think? Best movie of all time?
Not best movie of all time, but it's amazing. It's so engaging for being also kind of just boring.
Well, yeah, it's because those characters are so well.
I shouldn't say boring. It's all the scenes are really mostly just talking. I mean, yeah, there's some gunplay.
It's slow.
And a car explosion.
Yeah.
But that's very small compared to how many scenes are just characters talking to each other. It's an actor's dream, of course, just, perform, but
it's a reflective and thoughtful film about the gangster life as opposed to the natural gangster motivation would be bang bang shoot 'em up, fast paced. The Scorsese would be the most modern example, or even if you go back to a Bogart movie. And what Coppola's film does is that it sits in it. And
there's long stretches of just B-roll of ceremonies, a parade after Michael gets married. Obviously in the beginning, just the wedding stuff for his sister.
Well, not as long as the wedding and the Deer Hunter. But no, yeah. I mean, it's also a time when they're experimenting with stuff. I haven't seen part 3 in a while, so I don't know how it even remotely holds up as its own film, because I know it doesn't hold up compared to the first 2.
Yeah, I'd say it's visually different, but I'm not what an abomination. They never should have done this. That's not where I sit.
I actually love the final moments of Godfather Part 3. And I think it should be called The Death of Michael Corleone. It shouldn't be called Godfather Part 3. It should have just been called The Death of Michael Corleone. That would have been a great title for it. The story, I remember the cousin thing was something I didn't like, but other than that, it was interesting. Because I like the notion of Michael and Kay having to reconcile their past. That was always a fascinating draw for me to rewatch it. So
yeah, that's what I watched this week.
Cool.
Which brings us to our movie of the week, which is Creed 2.
Mm-hmm.
Zach, should people see Creed 2?
Yeah, I think you should. I didn't get to see the first Creed in theaters, so it's been a Blu-ray watch for me. I would love to see this and Creed and this film back to back in a theater as a duology, because I think they actually work together really well as a double feature, because they're both telling flip sides of a story that all centers around one event in Rocky IV, and parts of the different series going forward. But Jordan's great, Stallone's great, but the fucking standout, hands down, is Dolph Lundgren. Who knew that fucker could act as well as he does? I know he's a good action star and whatnot, and we enjoy watching him and stuff, but Jesus Christ, like, I'll talk about it after the trailer, but this film had me crying in the last 15 minutes, and I didn't stop till the credits rolled. So, yes, please go check it out.
Yeah, I mean, the original Rocky movies were like that, where 2 was like the next day, or the next hour even, and just rolled right off the first one. So I imagine this would be a great 2-parter to watch. And I hope it keeps going, because while I feel like, unfortunately, yet again, Adonis Creed's story was the least interesting to me, because it's the story we've seen so many times before.
Mm-hmm.
I was more interested in Drago and his son's story, which is touched on very little bit, a small bit of that is in the movie, and it's not explored to its full extent, but you get what's going on. And then Rocky's, I'm surprised, wasn't resolved in the last one. They just gave him cancer instead. And even we thought it was resolved in Rocky Balboa. So it's cool that they got. I'm amazed that they still find stuff for him to do after 7,
because we should
8
talk
movies.
about that part after the trailer.
Yeah,
because it is a spoiler.
So yeah, I think it's good. It's a good watch. It's like I said, I'm more interested in the side characters than Creed, unfortunately. But it's still a good movie, and what they do with his family is good and interesting. So I guess here's the trailer for Creed 2.
If we don't do what we love, then we wouldn't exist.
It's time, kid.
It's like nothing really matters to him right now, including me.
You gotta think real hard about this. You got people that need you now.
I'm taking the fight.
Victor Drago, son of Ivan Drago, who infamously killed Apollo Creed, appeared today to issue a challenge to Adonis Creed.
Don't do this.
I ain't got a choice.
That's the same thing your father said, and he died right here in my hands. That kid was raised in hate. It's dangerous. He broke things in me that ain't never been fixed. It ain't worth it.
It's not just us anymore, Dick.
I want to rewrite history.
If you want to fight this man, that's your business. But don't pretend this is about your father.
This here is all about my wife, my kids, the life that I live. Through the night, I was his. It was right what I did. My ups and downs, my slips, my falls, my trials and tribulations, my heart, my balls.
This won't be the end of me. Or you. It can't be, because we're a team.
Now you know what you're fighting for.
Round after round, you learn more about yourself. And when I stepped in that ring, it wasn't all about me.
I could see how you're not as interested in Creed. I'm definitely the opposite. I enjoy that story of Creed, like from the first one onward. The idea of him trying to reconcile every aspect of his past. There's something that Jordan does that I think is great, which he exudes a lot of confidence in his performances, but there's always a pain behind that. And with the Creed films in particular, I think, and especially in this one, I think it's him trying to understand, or like I like that struggle with him where he's trying to understand, like, well, I thought I proved my worth, so why do I not feel good? And to watch it unfold the way it does, especially with now he's got a kid, now he's put in that position. I know they're dramatic devices that are conveniently placed and whatnot, but you know what? The whole Rocky series has been conveniently placed things, in its own right.
Not necessarily. Like in '76, like Rocky losing,
right?
People for a loop.
Well,
for the first movie.
Outside of that, I'm talking more of just like, oh, this character has a baby, or this character,
right.
like
But in this series, he started out by winning.
Right.
He won his fight out, and then
he loses at the end of Creed. I thought he lost at the end of Creed, and then he goes on to win the title. That's the whole impetus at the beginning of Creed 2, is that he lost the fight to McGregor, or the guy who was going to prison, but then he came back, did a series of fights, and then won against the guy for the title.
Right. So at the end of the movie, he's the champion.
At the end of Creed, he loses. Creed 2 opens with them saying he lost the fight to the guy who was going to jail, but then he did a series of fights, and now he's up to this point. It catches you up.
No, I know how this one starts, Zach.
Oh.
I haven't watched the first one in a while, but I remember leaving it thinking like, oh, well, that's what's different from the Rocky movies is he actually wins the first movie.
No, no, he loses it, but he earns the right to call himself Creed because he fights a good fight.
Yeah, so it's like Rocky.
Yeah.
That's not how I remember it at all, but all right.
Unless I'm wrong, but that's what I remember.
Well, that's what informed my appreciation for this movie then, is I thought he lost, and then, of course, it's like, well, I thought he won, so I was like, well, what would make this movie different is that he would lose, which he does in the first 20 minutes or whatever.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, well, if he loses in the beginning of the movie, he's going to win by the end, so immediately I'm like, okay, well, I know where his story's going.
Mm-hmm.
The things I don't know is, like, the interesting part of his story is him having a wife with hearing, not hearing loss, but hearing deficiency. What's it called? Deterioration.
But eventually, her hearing will go out completely, regardless of a hearing aid.
Yeah. And their struggle is like they didn't expect to have a child so soon, and also her condition is hereditary, so they're worried about their child getting it. And the interesting part is like they go full, like as writers, they go ahead and like give them that issue.
Right. Really quickly to confirm, in the words of Max Kellerman, Conlon won the fight, but Creed won the night.
Huh.
Yep.
All right. Well, I have to watch Creed again.
Sorry.
That just makes it that much less interesting because I'm like, oh, it's not even different from Rocky at all.
It reinvigorates Rocky. It doesn't do anything to change it. It ignites a fire that had been dim for a while.
Yeah, but like I said, I guess I forgot that because I was focused on in the first Creed, Rocky being like, not only has he got cancer, but he's dealing with fading him into obscurity. Like all his friends and family around him are gone.
Right.
And then this movie picks it back up where it's like, oh yeah, he has this kid.
Yeah.
From Rocky Balboa.
Cancer's gone, but he still hasn't dealt with the kid yet.
Yeah, and he didn't deal with his son while he had cancer. So by the end of this movie, we're led to assume that his son doesn't even know he dealt with cancer.
Right, and by the way, Milo Ventimiglia from Rocky Balboa does return to play his son in one scene.
Yeah,
which honestly opens the door if they
want
want
emotionally distressing movie or scene of the movie.
Oh yeah, well, one of them. I mean, I actually like the scene where at the very end when he shows his daughter takes his daughter to the grave of Carl Weathers, and like it kind of gives me a tearjerk. And also seeing that Drago and his son go back to just keep training, to just keep fighting or something.
Yeah, so
at least that's the implication.
Yeah, the third story point that we haven't discussed yet is while Creed has his own thing going on with his wife and his newborn, and Rocky's dealing with reconnecting with his son. and struggling to just make a phone call. Ivan Drago is trying to impress the Russian government because at the end of Rocky IV, you kind of feel like, oh, he has the respect. He respects Rocky now. Like, he beat me. But in the last 30 years, the government was embarrassed by his loss and ruined his life.
And actually led to the Brigitte Nielsen character apparently leaving him with to raise a son on his own.
Yeah, so Brigitte Nielsen's in this movie.
Yeah, saying nothing. Really, literally almost nothing.
Yeah, didn't know she was going to make an appearance, but yeah, like
it's almost the opposite because Drago never talks in that fourth one, and she talks a lot.
Yeah.
And then it's the flip.
And then so Drago is trying to basically live vicariously through his son, who I get the impression doesn't want to box at all, and just wants to live a normal life.
He's hard to read in the respect that I don't. I will say I think we do get enough of Drago and his son, but I do think we could have used one more scene that describes his motivation a little clearer.
Yeah, that's why I said earlier, they don't touch on this storyline enough in the movie,
right? Which I think that this film actually does a good job of addressing that the nostalgia is a little flawed. Within regards of sprinkled dialogue here and there. I think one specifically by Tessa Thompson, like, is it worth going through all this again and whatnot? Because it's like, this is kind of a remake of Rocky IV, guys. But what I appreciate about Drago's story, there's a scene in this film, and it's not the scene you'd think would be the most impressive scene. The scene where. Because the scene with him and Rocky is good, but it's not superb. What's great is after Brigitte Nielsen shows up to a Russian state fund dinner or whatever, Drago's son gets up and leaves. Drago follows after him, and Drago's son just going on and on about, like, she left us. How can you like stand here? How can you want to sit this? And Drago says something that's amazing, and it's very insightful into how Drago feels, which I think actually goes beyond Drago wanting to live vicariously through his son. He said, I lost, you won't. And then, like, it kind of ends it there. And it's like one of those, like, moments where there's very little dialogue being exchanged on Lundgren's end, but it's his presence, his force. It's seeing a man who's gone through the film industry for the past 30 years, kind of being a joke, kind of like pushing out a lot of energy and force. And he's a very smart man. Like, we know Lundgren's, like, a smart man behind the scenes.
Yeah, he's got a degree in nuclear physics or something,
which he applied very aptly in Expendables 2 for some reason. So in watching this, like, and even the scene where he's with Rocky, where he's just like, you know what they do with stray dogs, in the Ukraine or something like that. I can't remember the full discussion, but you can feel the pain he's gone through, kind of like, it's almost like indicative of the pain of being the joke of the Rocky franchise to a degree, other than 5. In the respect of, like, Rocky IV is kind of the goofiest of them all in the respect of, like, how high concept the plot is. And there's a robot in that movie. Thankfully, no robots in this film. I would have flipped my shit if there was a robot in this film. I would have been like, well, fuck this. I can't respect this. No matter how great Stallone is. But I think Lundgren, his story is just as important to the Creed buildup of mythology as Adonis Creed is to it, or even Rocky is to it, because Lundgren's character had lost everything by the end of Rocky IV, whereas it's all about loss and regaining something you've lost. Like, that's the constant theme throughout this recent series of films, and I think Lundgren does a great job at exuding that without kind of like becoming like, it would have been easy to just like make this a walk in the park, say your lines and get out of here, but he actually delivers, and that's the most impressive part of it for me. And also the final moment of the film, or of the fight, where out of all the people who would have thrown in the fucking towel, I did not expect it would be fucking Ivan Drago.
Yeah.
And it shocked me at first, and then I was like, no, that had to happen. I'm glad it happened. God damn it, this movie's pretty fucking good for a sequel.
Yeah. Because you realized, like, he was never going to impress those Russians.
Well, not only that, also, but he's just like, look at what everything's done. Like, look at what I've done. Look at what it's done to him. This has all been led up to my actions. So I'm stopping it now.
I've just infected my son with what happened to me, rather than making him a champion.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's just like, I'm done with this. And like,
the best part is he's running with his son at the end, rather than pushing him with a car.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, I do not want to be trained by Dolph Lundgren, because if I get into a jogging mode and he's just going to run me over with a truck. Actually, Brad, that'll motivate me to run faster. Drive behind with your Jeep while I'm trying to run and just keep accelerating. Like, come on, fat boy, move.
Fat boy, run.
Also, Tessa Thompson's character, I'm glad she got more to do in this film, technically. I don't think it's much, but there's more.
You know, the first fight, I was like, why isn't it like his wife should come out and sing like his intro music? And then by the end of the movie, I was like, yes.
Oh my God, that was so
ideas.
fucking cool. Because I was, and
I was like, that makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you have your wife, like, if she's like this brilliant new recording artist?
I didn't even think of it from the perspective of music. I'm just like, how do you like top that? Like, how do you top James Brown introducing Adonis Creed? It's like, this is better than James Brown with Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
I will say there's one part of this movie that's silly to me, but I still like it because it's a training montage, guys. It's a silly training montage. They go to the wasteland for washed up boxers, which that's a movie I want in and of itself, like with its own cast. Danny Trejo's the head of the school. Like that's something I want.
And we got Creed coming in today. Get ready, boys.
I liked that. And you can always see different types of exercise in Rocky movies. And this one, I didn't realize, puts a strap to his head. It's got barbells on the bottom of it, and he's lifting it with his goddamn head.
The neck muscles are trained.
Oh, yeah. No, dude, it's those movies fill you up with a lot of adrenaline. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, but they were showing Rocky movies at the fitness cinema at the gym where I work out. So it's a big room where you can watch movies. Dude, I fucking busted ass to the last 20 minutes of Rocky IV when they were showing it. Like, just fucking running my ass off on that treadmill. Like, it motivates you. But yeah, and then other than that, like, I mean, it kind of runs through the motions of what you would expect from a Rocky movie. What I've always found amazing about this franchise is, like, it's not necessarily what's happening that's necessarily shocking. It's that the characters, you love these characters so much that you wouldn't want to see the usual things happen to them in some respects. Like, I don't know if they clarified, like, is his daughter definitely deaf? Like, oh yeah, she's got the hearing aid in.
Yeah.
But that's something where I'm like, oh, I don't want that to happen, but I know it's good that happens because it upends any expectation I have where it's like, oh, good news, like the miracle baby, you know? And when Michael B. Jordan brings that baby into the gym, I was just like, oh God, he's going to use her as a sparring partner. Just my mind went into a silly direction because I was just like, oh God,
I did think that while he was, hitting that punching bag, that his elbow might come back and hit the stroller.
Oh God,
on accident, and that would be the the conflict in this movie. Like, then Tessa Thompson finds out, like, see, you've gone too far.
You punched my baby.
It's affecting our child. Yeah, but it's probably good that didn't happen.
And Phylicia Rashad is good as Creed's mom again. I like that scene.
She gets more to do.
Yeah, and I love that scene where she's like, well, the scene where she's talking to Tessa Thompson about, like, I've been through this before, but also, like, you're a grown man, you're going to do what you want, and don't make this about me, and certainly don't make this about your father. That was really, was good. So
yeah. So I'm curious, I feel like everything wrapped up in this movie, so will there be a Creed 3?
Victor Drago and Adonis Creed become best friends, and then they recreate Rocky 3. That's what I want.
Oh, man.
And then...
So who's going to be...
the villain in this one?
Mr. T. Clubber Lang. Who's going to be this
Terry
generation's
Terry
Clubber Lang?
Crews. Terry Crews.
Might be too old. Not that he's old,
The
like
Rock.
old, but like... I don't know.
The Rock.
Who's like a punk?
Oh, a punk?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Jason Statham.
You're thinking too old.
I know.
He's a young punk.
Taron Egerton.
Sure, all right.
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum would be fun to watch.
Oh my
It's like
God,
Clubber
yeah.
Lang.
Hell yeah. Bubber Dang.
Channing Lang.
Channing Lang.
Yeah. All right.
Also, but there's I wanted to mention it though. Like, I like that opening thing with Rocky. This movie reminds you how much you love the character Rocky when they're talking about the proposal scene, and he says like, I looked at the tiger and I turned to Adrian and I said, why don't you would you mind too much if you got married to me? Which is a dumb way of saying all the things I felt in my heart, which I was like, I fucking love that line, and I fucking love Sylvester Stallone no matter how many stupid things he can do in his life. Oh God, there's no way I can hate that man no matter how many times he tries to make me do it. Cool.
All right, so next week I guess we're going to see Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Yeah, Ralph Breaks the Internet. It should be fun. I I like the first one as I've seen it for the first time this year, so.
I already know how it's going to go.
So do
but
I.
we're going to save it for next week.
Yeah, so did I. But hopefully we'll have the other two in the room so that we can all talk about it.
Yeah.
So.
I know Ryan has already seen it, so
okay.
Hopefully he'll be here. So yeah, until next time.
All right, bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Real Nerds Podcast. Real Nerds Podcast is a production of Nebulous Visions Multimedia. Thank you to Sparks Mandrill and Plan 9 Studios for our kick-ass theme song. Also, if you're in the Denver area and you're looking for a cool place to see movies, we see them at the Alamo Drafthouse in Littleton and now also in Sloan's Lake. Thank you to Colorado Coins, Cards, and Comics for supplying us with all our comic needs, especially you, Andrew. You know who you are. And a big shout out to James's mom. I'm giving you an electronic hug that you can feel through the airwaves. Thanks for listening, and have a nice day.